Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am going to be making two fun St. Patrick's Day cards today, but I want to know, do you send St. Patrick's Day cards? I haven't sent very many of them in my life, but I thought this is a good opportunity to make some and send some because there are brand new products from Trinity Stamps that are St. Patrick's Day themed, and they're so much fun. Like this Shamrock Swirl die set. It has 3 dies and actually a hot foil plate with it too, and you can use them together or separate, and you can make a bunch of frames like this, or you can leave them solid. So I die cut all of them and die cut the center from all of them, but here I'll show you if you wanted to leave like some of them solid, you can still layer them together for some really cool looks. So having those layers gives you lots of options, but we're going to set that aside and work on the background to put this on. I love all things rainbow, and I feel like rainbow has such a good place in St. Patrick's Day cards rather than always doing just green, but putting the rainbow with the green. So I am using some squeezed lemonade here for the center of my card, and then at the top I'm bringing in Kitsch Flamingo. I'm going to concentrate on putting the pink down in that section before I start working my way over into the yellow and blending those two together to create a nice light orange color. I like to use 3 colors for a rainbow and get the blended look. It's so much fun. I love making my own backgrounds, and a rainbow just makes me so happy. So I went back and forth between the yellow and the pink and really softened out those 2 colors. And then I was ready to bring in the salvaged patina for the bottom piece. And again, I'm putting down my solid color on the white part first before I start working my way into the blend. And then I've got a little less ink on my little sponge, and I got a nice blend, and I can go back with the yellow and really just work everything together. It's super easy to do. The effect is gorgeous. So there is my ink blended rainbow. I am going to spritz it with some water. I love water droplets and I love splatter, so look at that. I just love watching it kind of set for a second and the spots get lighter. It makes me happy. I love splatter. Okay, so there, we're going to set that aside and let it dry for a minute. And then once it's ready to go, I'm going to stencil over the top. So I have this heart stencil that is from the last release for Valentine's Day, but I feel like hearts and clovers just go together really well. And like I said, I think it's a good opportunity at St. Patrick's Day to send someone a card just to remind them that you care about them, that you love them. And so these are kind of love-themed St. Patrick's Day cards. I'm using my Snowfall grit paste right over the top of this stencil, and then I'm going to have some hearts on my background that are clear and a little bit sparkly, because this, although looks white when you first put it on, it does dry translucent. So you'll be able to see the rainbow through them, and I just love that look for a stenciled background. It's got a little something extra, it's got texture, but it's not too busy. So one thing you want to make sure to do is clean this Snowfall grit paste or any paste you're going to use on a stencil off right away, even on the edge of the card. If it dries like that, it's going to be hard to get it off. So wipe that off, wipe off your stencil, your little tools, all the things. All right, I've brought back my little Shamrock here, and you can see I'm adding the outline pieces onto a solid piece that I die cut, so I have something to glue it onto. And then I can do this if I wanted, like layer it up differently, but I wanted to use all of the layers and kind of like a gradient look, going from the outside being the darkest to the inside being the lightest, and just working my way through some shades of green. So sometimes when you're working with really thin die cuts, they don't die cut and layer up exactly perfect, which mine didn't do. I had a couple little gaps, but I'm going to fix that. This is like, have you heard of brain games where you're just going to play a little trick on the eye? Like the gap's still going to be there, but we're going to do some paper crafting magic to trick the brain. So I've stuck my Shamrock down onto a piece of some, what is this called? Cling wrap. Press and seal, that's what it's called, press and seal, and I'm covering it with Versamark ink. Then I'm going to remove the press and seal and sprinkle on some clear sparkle embossing powder from Wow, covering this entire thing. The whole thing is going to be embossed with clear embossing powder, which will make it shiny, and glitter, which will make it sparkle. I love this thing so much. It's so gorgeous. And for some reason, it just helps mask a little bit of the imperfections. So we're going to set that aside and work on our sentiment. This is the Simply Sentimental Lucky stamp set from Trinity Stamps. You can see it's got all the different fonts of the word lucky and sub-sentiments to go with. I stamped this one and embossed it with California Gold embossing powder and the sub-sentiment that says to be your friend with regular metallic gold embossing powder. I trimmed it down to be a skinny little sentiment, cut the ends. You can see my embossing's not perfect. I'm not worried about it. I mean, I only lost a little bit of sleep over it and then I moved on. So we're going to use it anyway. And then I am using some markers to color in these letters, which I love about this. And every Simply Sentimental set from Trinity Stamps has the same fonts. So we've got thanks and birthday and holidays and hello and love, all these different ones that have this font in it. So you can do this with all of those as well. Color them in to match your card. So I went for rainbow. So cute. All right, let's glue that down to our card base. This is an A2 size card base. My background's dry. You can see through into the rainbow. I love it. My Shamrock is going down with foam squares, but also glue because I'm sticking it down over the top of that very textured background. The Lucky is going to be half on and half off the Shamrock, so it gets half foam squares, half liquid glue, and then I'm just going to make sure and kind of hold these down really well, you know, because it's being glued down to glitter and bumpy surfaces and whatnot. And then to be your friend, I'm just gluing that right down. And then we need a little embellishment. These tiny clovers are so cute. They're the Clover cluster confetti, and they're holographic, and they're 4-leaf clovers. They're tiny, they're perfect for shakers, and they're so adorable. I love them. You'll see a close-up photo of this so that you can get a better look at them, and I will have them linked for you as well as all the other things in the description box below so you can check them out for yourself. So that is card number 1 in today's video. I love it so much. Like, this card makes me so happy. I had so much fun making it, and I haven't made a lot of St. Patrick's Day cards before, so I just really enjoyed it. Let's move on to card number 2. We're also going to be ink blending, and we're going to be using hearts, but we're using this Heart Clover stencil. Or Clover Heart Stencil, as the package says. But first, we're going to create a rainbow. Same thing as I did before. Mustard seed down the middle, Kitsch Flamingo across the top, Salvage Patina at the bottom, bringing them together, ink blending them to create a rainbow. I don't know if you can tell, but my paper's a little bit bigger this time. I'm making a 5x7 card. So this panel is going to measure 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. That way, when I stick it down to my A7 card, I will have a nice white border all the way around. Okay, I spritzed that with water. I let it dry, not long enough. I'll tell you why in just a second. And we're going to ink blend the same exact colors over this stencil just to make it a little bit darker. Now, before I move away from the yellow and on to the other colors, I want to wipe some of that ink off so I don't immediately contaminate my sponge and only have some orange clovers at the top. I want the pink to show as well. So you got to clean that yellow ink off, but I wanted to leave it lined up. I felt like it'd be too hard to remove the stencil and stick it back down with the very subtle stenciling that I was doing. And it worked out perfectly. So now that we have that ink blended, let's take a look and see what it looks like. It's so very pretty. I love it just like it is, but I think it's going to look even better with some stenciling over the top of the stenciling. So here it is just with the ink. Now I cleaned it off and I stuck it back down, lining it up, which was easy to do once the whole heart was done. And now I'm going to bring in some glitter paste. I have this fairy dust paste from Lawn Fawn. It's getting almost dry, but I was able to stencil with it, and it's going to make this nice and rainbowy and sparkly, but the ink is going to show through. So this time I wanted it to be a little bit darker in the background so that this would show up even better than the hearts on the first card. That's why I did the layer of inking. Now some of my paste wanted to come up off of the paper. That's because it wasn't quite dry. So I set it aside. When it was a little bit tacky, I was able to push down some of the edges that wanted to peel up. But now, while it's drying, I'm going to stamp out my Clover and my Shamrock from the A Good Friend stamp set. It's got two 3-leaf clovers and one 4-leaf clover, which I'm calling a shamrock, and I am going to color this out. I put down my lightest color first. I believe it was YG11, and then I'm bringing in my darkest, the YG09, and adding where I want the darkest parts to be, which is at the center of the clover. And then to blend that out, I'm going to go in with YG06. This is my midtone, which I consider to be like the main color of my clover, and then I want to bring back my lightest YG11 and create those highlights and really soften out the blend from the darkest to the lightest. On my 3-leaf clover, I decided why not color it rainbow, kind of like I did with the letters on the word lucky for my first card. And so I did, same exact markers, you can see them there on the screen, and I think it's such a fun look to color this in a different way than just green. All right, let's die cut those out with the coordinating dies. Oh, first, I do like to add my white highlight with my gel pen, giving it some lines and some little dots. It really adds like an element of shine to it. And now we'll die cut it out. There are 3 dies to match this A Good Friend stamp set, and they're just the clovers. There are sentiments in this set. 2 of them, they do not have dies. I am going to use those stamps and just stamp them right on my card. So for that, I'm going to do some embossing, again with gold powder, this time stamping directly onto my card. And so you want to make sure you use some anti-static powder, which I did. So my powder is only going to stick where I have stamped my sentiment, just like that. So it says, a good friend is like a 4-leaf clover. So you have 2 sentiments in this, and it's made to work so that you can stamp one on the outside and one on the inside of the card. And then we're going to stick down the 4-leaf clover and pop it up with a foam square. And then this whole thing is going on my card. I did use double stick tape and liquid glue because my paper was a little warpy from all the fun things I did to create that background. So I just really pressed it down good. Now it's time to embellish. Trinity Stamps is known for their embellishments. I have a lot of them, and so I pulled out my rhinestones, and I'm going to add them with the same color rhinestone over the ink blending. So pink on pink, orange on orange, and so on. And I'm just going to put a few on the card, but I want to know, because in hindsight, I think I could have added more. So I want to know, what do you think? Should I add more rhinestones to this card, or is it, simple is better? Tell me your thoughts, because I'm on the fence about it. Sometimes, or usually when I'm on the fence, I just leave it, but your input is greatly appreciated. So leave me a comment below. Plus, I would love to know which of the cards is your favorite, or how you feel about sending out St. Patrick's Day cards. Like, do you do it? Does this video maybe inspire you to send some out at a time, a few minutes? It's a few months after Christmas. And so maybe it's time to send out a little note of love to someone in your life. All right, so the inside says, hard to find and lucky to have. So a good friend is like a 4-leaf clover, hard to find and lucky to have. I probably should have put a 4-leaf clover on the inside too, but it works out. So that is card number 2, and you can see the awesome paste there. It's dry, it's glittery, and it's just one of those things you want to reach out and touch the card. It's so fun. All right, so let's look at both cards side by side, and this really just makes me want to send these to my friends, or family, my sister maybe. So I have them ready to go, and I am working hard to send out more cards this year. I make more than I send, and it's a problem. It's embarrassing even to say. So I'm going to work on getting these sent in the mail. That's my challenge for myself. So thank you so much for stopping by and letting me share my creations with you. I've so enjoyed being able to do that, and your kind words mean more to me than you'll ever know. Thank you for supporting me and watching. Happy stamping. Bye.